And then I met you. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun, meeting other people with, the same name.
yeah.
So, yeah, here we are. So what I like to do is just kinda ask a few questions and, have people get to know you, and we'll just dive right in here. So, I mean, what really kind of inspired you to pursue, being an indie comic creator?
Well, it really started in my childhood because I grew up on the golden age of 90s cartoons, many of which were superhero cartoons, of course: Batman, Superman, X-Men,
Mhm.
Spider-Man, all of them. And I just kept like writing these stories in my head, like variations. What would be if I was in the show? What if I was the star of the show and like did my own thing? And this continued into high school and college, where I just kept wanting to write, and I actually went into video game writing as my degree because I wanted to write for video games. Still
Mhm.
working on that. uh it's a tough field,
Yeah.
but just like comics in its own way. And then comics just felt like, I don't want to say an easier access point, but at this point in time, like 2012-ish, was when like Comixology was doing this submit program.
Mhm.
And for those who don't remember that, that was big for us indie folk because
Oh, yeah.
we had a major place to go put our books. And so I just started asking around and seeing what I could do. Then I went to a C2E2, the Chicago Comic Con,
Mhm.
and I went to a panel called Making Comics the Marvel Way. On the panel was Matt Fraction, who at the time was writing a very good Iron Man arc. It was right after Dark Reign. And I asked him, like, hey, I'm a guy who wants to be a comic writer and have a good story idea in my head. What should I do? And he goes, look, if you want to make comics, go find an artist and make comics.
Yeah. I I I can't argue, that's what I tell people,
Yeah.
I get that
Yeah.
all the time, "How do you make comics?" I
Yeah.
literally just go do it. I mean,
Yeah. Fast forward 2 years, because the one thing Matt Fraction didn't tell me was, oh, yeah, it costs money.
yes, it does.
Yeah. I was in college when I really got the bug, but I couldn't do anything about it because I didn't have the money
Mhm.
to afford it while also doing all the college stuff. Eventually, I got started with a superhero series called Guardians. I made 20 issues of that. Then I was like, I need to stop and go get these other ideas out of my
Mhm.
head. And that birthed many different series, one of which we'll talk about today. And now I've got, between comics and novels, over 50 stories published, not including anthologies that I've done.
Nice.
So I'm just taking it one story at a time, one book at a
Yeah.
time, and just trying to get all these ideas out of my head.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a common theme I hear with a lot of writers. Is they kind of end up, I mean, many things you said there. They end up kind of wanting to do, maybe another media or genre or something, and we end up falling into comics, or we end up going down that route of comics. Screenwriters, I've talked to a few
Mm.
people that like were getting into screenwriting,
Ooh,
or I mean, I know a guy who wrote novels, and he was writing comics. So
yeah.
it's we all kind of come from different avenues, and comics seems to be how we funnel our creative writing in a
and
way.
that and that speaks to the nature of comics itself, because due to how comics are, even more so than movies, TV shows, and video games, if you want to write a story for a comic, you can do it. The only
Hmm.
restrictions are, what your artist is going to be and how many pages you want to put in
Yeah.
each issue or book. You know, it's different than a video game or a movie where it's like, I only have like this much budget to make this
Right.
kind of story or video game or film or movie. For the comic, it's like, okay, I could pay you this amount per page. Can we work that out? If you could, if you can, great. If not, I'll look for someone else, and then you just go and make the book. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think in the indie, comic world, I think because we don't kind of have, to use the term suits, we don't have suits in the way of kind of, curtailing us into a certain way or certain storyline or character. I
No.
mean, we in a lot of the indie books I've read, the stories are all over the place. Like they are just, you have like some of the most wild characters, but then some of the most down to earth, grounded characters. Stories that would never be told anywhere else are being told in the indie comic story world.
And nowadays, even with what's going on, with, like, especially DC with their absolute
Mhm.
line, like indie is still a great place to find unique storylines because
Mhm.
we are unbound by what
Mhm.
we're doing. We can say, I want to make this kind of comic and run with it to the ends of the earth, or hey, I want to tell this simple, refined, grounded story, and it's like, oh, this is exactly what I've always wanted to read, and
Hmm.
that you never know until you make it and write it, and that's the other beauty of indie comics is like once you make it, it's yours
Yeah.
forever. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. You mentioned getting into video game writing. Is there any like, I mean, you mentioned college as well. Is that like formal education for writing, or was that something separate from college?
No, it was my college degree. I got video
Okay.
game development from DePaul University, with a specialization in game writing, and the course was like game design or game programming, and I can't program for crap. Just never worked in here.
Yeah.
That and mathematics. 2 plus 2 is what?
Yeah.
Uh, it's 5. I know.
Mm,
But I focus on game writing, and like in all the writing courses, I got like A's. It was just
nice.
it was a sign. But then the other stuff I did like good B's and C's and such. Mainly C's for like pseudo programming stuff
Yeah.
I had to do. Um,
All the
but
math.
yeah. Well, it's just I grew up on video games as well, and there were so many games that inspired me on a narrative level that I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to write something like this, and I still do. And I've worked on
Hmm.
indie projects over the years. Sadly, none of them have been published yet, but it spoke to me. And now with comics, I'm able to take that desire for like grand storytelling or even just character focused stuff and
Hmm.
apply it to all the stories that I do,
Yeah.
and it's freeing because now it's not like, oh, I need these 20 people to help me make this video game. It's no, I can do a comic of like 3 people.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I've done a comic completely myself, and then there's times where it's like 50 people, right? So it really broad stroke there. It could take one person or many.
Yeah.
What motivates you to keep writing? I mean, you mentioned like you've written on over what 50 stories and whatnot,
Yeah.
but I mean that's a pretty good discography for an indie writer. So what keeps you going?
uh Fear of not doing it. No.
Okay,
I
fear is a great motivator.
Well, it's just I was thinking, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, Todd.
Todd.
uh Todd, 2026 has been a hard year for me, but one of
Yeah.
the things that's kept me going is my stories. I just came off of a successful Kickstarter for my anime comic, Tokyo Blade Detectives,
Nice.
and it was very great. I was stressed throughout it because you're trying to match what you did
Oh yeah.
before, and then exceed it,
Yeah.
which I did in certain ways. But like it was so fulfilling to
Yeah.
see um, so many people come. I had my best launch ever, my best launch day. I made more
Nice.
than I had done certain other projects of this arc, and then I've got this other book that a sci-fi spacefaring novel called As We Went to Stars, and my editor literally said, "Todd, I was doing other projects, but I had to keep coming back to yours because it was that good." I'm just like,
Nice.
I like to think I don't have a big ego, but like that was a nice stroking of it. It's just
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
it's so good, Todd. And then I was doing a Comic Con recently, and I was telling people about my books, and they're like, such variety. Like, yeah, well, I try to appeal to everybody. And then this
Hmm.
one guy came over and said, oh, I like these kind of stories. I'm like, oh, that's my next book, and he got excited just for me saying that.
Nice.
And then it's the idea of like not making these books would just be. I just literally looked at my life. I'm like, what would I have? And I know that sounds dark, and I'm just trying to be honest with you all, but like I've thought about it. I'm like, right now, that's one of my driving forces because I truly believe in my stories and my
Hmm.
books and what I want to give to people. And with the successes I've had at Comic Cons and Kickstarters, I've want to just keep doing that and keep sharing my stories with the
Hmm.
world, and maybe inspiring another writer or two. You never know, because I was
Yeah.
inspired by various writers, including Matt Fraction and Scott Snyder and Jimmy Palmiotti and Gail Simone and
Hmm.
all of them. It was just like I would love to do what they do, and now I do in my own way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes it's just you love doing it and you can't imagine your life without it, and that's where I am.
That's a fair point. I really agree with that because I've been drawing since I was a kid, and
There you go.
I didn't really hone in on writing or thinking about doing my own comic till like teenage years, but it was a whole different landscape back then. Like
Oh
nowadays,
yeah.
I feel It's so yeah, there is a financial, burden, but it's
Yeah.
so much easier. It really is so much easier to get books printed, to get them distributed. A lot of it falls on us. We wear like 30 hats, being indie creators,
Yeah.
but that's a small price to pay for me to have my books out there in people's hands, reading it, enjoying it, and that's one of the things I would say having that fan interaction and fan enjoyment is definitely a motivation.
Yeah.
You did mention
Small
some
small price,
influences.
metaphorically speaking, of course.
Exactly. Yeah, my time is a very small price. It's not worth much to some people. But you mentioned a few people as far as influences. Any other, writers, creators, film, TV, anybody else out there that kind of helped you stay motivated, or I mean, was an influence?
Well, one of the things that I honestly find ironic about myself is that despite me having all of these different genres and stories and people I absolutely look up to and have befriended over the years, I don't try to compare myself to other writers.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like I don't say like, oh, I go the Jimmy Palmiotti style or the Scott Snyder style or like Brian Michael Bendis
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
Kelly Thompson. You know, all of them. I don't do that just because it like never really occurs to me because I know I'm not them.
Yeah.
Uh, like they write a certain way, and some of it is award winning, and some of it I go, "That's what you wrote, really?" Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and I know I'm not alone on that. I've read the internet comments, but
Yeah.
uh, for inspiration, I honestly just look at what what I'm watching, what I'm reading.
Hmm.
Uh, some of the things that I told you about my spacefaring novel, As We Wanted to
Hmm.
Stars. That was inspired by Star Trek, Star Wars, Babylon 5, just the
Nice.
stuff that I love and grew up on and still
Yeah.
rewatch. And I just go, what would my version of this be? And
Hmm.
so I did that. One of my books I really do have a deep connection with was a children's book called 10,000 Miles. And I called it my Disney Pixar story because that's what I grew up on. And
Yeah.
so I just got this simple notion in my head that if you really think about it, most Pixar movies are about a question.
Hmm.
What if toys could talk?
Yeah.
What if there was a monster in the closet?
Hmm.
You know, what was the most recent one? Hoppers.
Yeah. Yeah. It just
Yeah,
came out hoppers.
yeah. What if you could understand what animals are talking
Hmm.
about? It was
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So I did one that was basically about what if you could dig your way to China.
Mm. That'd be
And,
interesting.
exactly. And I wrote a whole graphic novel about that. It remains my most successful Kickstarter. But like that was the inspiration. I was just like, what if I did
Yeah.
like this and this and this and a future book that I'm going to make was inspired by the TV series Only Murders in the Building.
Hmm.
Love that show, and I was watching like season 1 or 2, and I'm just like, I love the concept of it. It's just so simple, but I wonder what if they did this, this, and this. I'm like, there's your next story.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the writers I talk to, we find inspiration everywhere.
yeah, there's no
One of the
wrong
writers,
way.
no, he was like, he was telling me he was in the hospital and there was this like, I don't know if he was like a homeless person or just kind of like someone outside that was kind of disheveled looking, and he like that inspired him to write a story. And I'm like, okay, I mean, like, there's
Yeah.
no wrong way to be influenced by something.
I know someone named Ed Davis, and he wrote a book called Floaters. It was a horror book, but it was inspired by a real medical condition that he
Yes,
had.
yes, that's who I'm
Yeah,
talking about. One of the characters in Floaters is this like disheveled guy outside the hospital.
yeah. So like that was I was like he hated this condition. It really
Yeah,
messed with him, and he's like, I'm gonna write a story about it, and it also was a successful Kickstarter. So
yeah,
like he just took a real life trauma and turned it into something visual, and that's really cool.
yeah, yeah. It really is. It was a really cool idea too. Like,
Oh yeah.
I was on a podcast with him, I think, and we were talking about it. Not mine, but I think I was with like other people, and we were kind of just talking about. So yeah, really fascinating stuff out there in the indie, and you would never get that in mainstream. I don't think. You wouldn't get something so
Definitely not.
personal. Um, what would you say? Because I mean, you've been doing this for quite a while. Like, what are some of the biggest challenges that you
Oof.
face?
Oh boy. Well, the obvious one is money.
Hmm.
I've been com- incredibly blessed that I have had jobs over my 10-year career that have allowed me
Hmm.
to have enough money to
Hmm.
make all these comics. It has not been easy sometimes, and I've had some lean years, as all of us have
Hmm.
done, including, I honestly say this year might be a lean year if things don't turn around. It's just being honest.
Yeah.
Uh, and then that always weighs on your mind because, again, it's like,
Yeah.
what do I do if I'm not making comics or
Yeah.
novels? So, but you adapt and you survive. The other thing is that while I don't compare myself to other writers, especially, sorry, especially like big two writers or even Image
Hmm.
and Boom and Dynamite, you do get weighed down at times when you look at the success of other indie creators,
Oh yeah.
because especially when it comes to Kickstarters,
Yeah.
because I am not afraid to say that I have had, let's see, what am I at right now? 17 successful
Hmm.
Kickstarters now. 12 with Tokyo, five. I had a 5 issue miniseries, and then 10,000 miles. So
Nice.
yeah, 17, 18. And I've done well, and I am happy with what I've done. But then I look at other comics that
Oh yeah.
have gotten like hundreds of backers, tens of thousands of dollars, and I'm like, why?
What am I doing wrong?
Not even that. More like, what am I not doing that's getting that? And
That's fair. Yeah,
there
that's one
are
way to look at
answers.
it. Yeah.
There are answers out there. One of them is, as something you were talking about, is we are people of many hats.
Yeah.
One of the, I'm not gonna say bad parts, but one of the disadvantages to the people I work with is that they are incredible artists. They don't do social media,
Yeah.
so it's all me
Yeah.
for most of my projects.
Hmm.
Um, and so, like, I'm doing the marketing, I'm doing the podcasts, I'm trying to
Hmm.
connect with people on Facebook and Blue Sky and Twitter, and it's so rough because
Yeah.
if you don't know the algorithm, or it just straight up hates you,
Yeah.
you're
Yep.
not going to get attention. I made like just a simple, I kid you not, I made a joke post on my Facebook page today, not asking for anything, but for a little bit of help on a very funny matter. And I thought this would blow up. This would be
Yeah.
great. I got like 2 likes and 2 comments. I ask for thoughts and prayers because I'm having a bad day. Boom. Like
Yeah.
all of it. It's just like, what the heck? So that weighs on me. And then the other thing is that there are super successful campaigns that
Hmm.
have how do I put this gently? Not friendly for everyone content.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
It is a big thing.
yeah, and I, due to personal feelings and beliefs, will not cross that line.
Right.
Could
Right.
could I? Oh yeah, I
Oh
could.
yeah. Yeah.
It would not take long. Like I
Yeah.
just let me level with you again. Vulnerability. I was having I was online and someone shared this uh free manga link. And I've read a lot of manga in the recent years. It's been very enjoyable. Um and it was, what was the title? It was the guild leader kicked me out, so I partied with his mom. And I'm like,
Okay.
I read the title, and I'm like, that title makes no sense. So
Yeah.
naturally, I click on the link, read the manga, and sure enough, it was one of them not safe for work ones. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh,
I
now
see.
I
Yeah.
get it. So I was just like, okay, this is incredibly stupid, but it's hilariously stupid. So what would be my sellout idea? Like if I wanted to go this route, and it took me
Yeah.
like all 2 minutes. Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was not hard.
It's not a very hard egg to crack, or
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
there's a formula there. Once you understand the
yeah,
formula, I mean, that's
yeah.
it.
And that's the sad thing, is that there are so many campaigns out there, including ones like out right now, that are very much for the not safe for work crowd.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
what's that phrase, like cover mills, where it's just like various not safe for work covers, and like that makes
Yeah.
the bulk of your sales because there's that market for them. And I'm just like, that's what you want to do, that's your right, but that's
Yeah.
not me, that's
It's
not what I
yeah.
want to do.
It's not for everyone.
No.
Definitely not.
So
But you mentioned 17 successful Kickstarters.
yeah.
Do you feel that, having multiple titles has kind of hurt maybe some of your success, or do you feel that, I mean, having that variety is actually helping?
Part of it, I would say, is very helpful. With each Kickstarter I do, it shows that I can make the comics, I get the rewards.
Hmm.
I'm very diligent about making sure
Hmm.
that I keep my backers updated at all times. I just sent out a update today about surveys, and she's like, "Okay, here's where we're at. I'll let you know if things change." I think I've only had
Hmm.
like one serious delay in my Kickstarter career, and that was
Okay.
actually 10,000 miles because my artist
Yeah.
came to me. I kid you not, he came up to me and goes, "Hey Todd, I need to redo some of the pages." Like,
Mm.
okay, like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I mean, just I know I can do better, so I need like a month to get it
Oh,
done. I'm like,
jeez. Okay.
no. I'm like, look, you got 2 weeks to improve as much as you want, but I'm
Yeah.
stopping you. And this was
Yeah.
early in my Kickstarter career, so I'm just like, I don't want to be that guy who's like, oh, I said January, but it's actually gonna be April. I did not want to be that guy.
Yeah.
So, but I told everybody and so on. I would say that it's actually helped me that I've done so many things because there are people who will dabble in multiple genres, whether it be anime, a heist graphic novel I did once, the Disney Pixar style stuff, or the book we're going to be talking about in a little bit. That
Hmm.
that crossover does help, and it obviously helps at cons because we never know who's going
Yeah.
to come to your table, and so they might not like this, but they might like this, and
Right.
and that catches their attention. So I love having the variety because that speaks to me as a person because I love all
Yeah.
sorts of genres. And it does help me connect with other people because, like, oh, I don't do superheroes. Great. I have all of this
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, I don't do comics. Oh, I have novels too. And then that
Yeah.
gives me another chance to continue talking with them or engaging
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Nice. And you did mention like us wearing all these hats, we definitely have to mainly be the one to promote our own work. I mean, how do
Yeah.
you kind of navigate that whole social media? The algorithm is one thing. I mean, we could post something like you said, just fun and innocent and
Yeah.
nothing, and then it's like, oh, I lost my finger, and like everything.
That
Wow,
got dark.
not that. Well, I mean, that's I can be a pretty dark person. Well, I mean, anything, right? You're like, something even. It just reminded me. There was like a Simpson commercial, and Homer. They were in a hospital, and Homer's like, "I'm gonna go jump in this hospital bed and take a photo of me for social media," and it like blew up, right? I mean, but that's what they favor. That's what social media kind of like. They don't like us using links, at least Meta
Oh, yeah,
side of it.
definitely not. They
Um,
hate it.
I've honestly found pretty good success as far as comparing it to like Meta or Twitter, whatever. Reddit seems to be pretty engaging on different levels. How do you kind of manage that or work that?
Well, this is the one this is me being vulnerable again when I say I haven't. Like I've tried and
Hmm.
I keep pushing and sometimes it's just that slog of you just keep posting and then hopefully someone will engage and that has to be my strategy sometimes. I
Yeah.
just like I have a bunch of comic groups where I know that there are people who will engage and potentially will pledge to a Kickstarter, but I have to
Right.
keep posting, and that's hard when you just don't have the time or you forget.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I legit joined Blue Sky during one of the Twitter exoduses. I'm still on Twitter though,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I thought, okay, start fresh on Blue Sky, build up your following there, and it might pay off. And I've been on there for over a year now, and my Blue Sky feed is more about wrestling than it is about comic books because that's where I get my engagement. For whatever
Yeah.
reason, I can find so
Yeah.
many more wrestling people than I can comic people. And then the people that
Nice.
do like my comic posts are usually just sharing around because they're comic feeds or they're not doing anything outside of liking it. It's like that helps,
Yeah.
but not really. So
Yeah.
it's a struggle, and I wonder at times why some of my other friends um, have better results. Maybe it's because of their followings. Maybe it's because they post more than me. It's really hard to say because
Yeah.
there's so many variables here.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I gave up on trying to figure it out. Like you,
Preach.
I will post. Yeah. I try to like, a few times a week, like, hey, this is what I'm working on, this is what I'm doing, whatever's going on in the world, like fine. I
Mhm.
mean, for me, I get more interaction with like political and religious stuff, and I'm not really that political or religious. So it's kind of like, okay. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever works, right? Whatever
That
they
literally what I was thinking. Whatever works, and
Yeah,
and I mean I
whatever
I
they
don't
push.
I don't mind my wrestling fan base over on Blue Sky. I have a lot of fun with them, and it's great after watching a show. I know I can go on Blue Sky, post some things, and I'll get a bunch of likes.
Yeah.
Uh, like I posted several wrestling tweets on Sunday on a recent pay per view, and one of them just blew up. I have no idea why. I was just like, this happened. This was a great match for this reason, and then it was just
Yeah.
like. It was a different one, and a few days later, I got like 2 likes. It's like,
Yeah,
what did I do?
it's so random. It's so random, and there's definitely frustration there. But I mean, as indie creators, we build a fan base, right? You have these Kickstarters. Speaking of, let's just jump into
Yeah.
Seekers of Science here, and we have this fan base that we grow, right? We have kind of followers of the Kickstarters, and each Kickstarter, hopefully, we kind of grow our backers,
Mhm.
and slightly grow those campaigns. Tell us all about this.
Okay, so this is actually one of the more unique comics that I do. This Secrets of Science is a STEM education book. For those who don't know, STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And
Hmm.
it stars two real friends of mine, Tamara Robertson and Dr. Tracy Fanara. And in each issue or volume, we solve real world problems with real world science. And we have DIY experiments, we have interviews with experts, we have just we try and showcase science in many ways while also being easy to pick up and understand because we want this to be an educational tool for the next generation.
Okay.
So, yeah, we have 7 issues out right now. Todd, this Todd,
Yeah.
is scrolling through some of our past ones right now. And for Kickstarter, we're going to be wrapping up volume 2, volume 8. I wish issue number 8, volume 2, and we're hoping to not just get the funding so we can finish number 8, but
Hmm.
expand our reach, grow our fan base,
Yeah.
and see how far we can take this in the future.
Nice. Yeah. I like this. This has in my opinion, I would say, has kind of like an older school vibe to it. As far as like the artwork and the coloring and all that,
Yeah.
which is refreshing.
Yeah, we the art has absolutely evolved over the years
Hmm.
and you can even tell Tamara's hairstyle changes. I was just like, that's
Yeah.
just how she was. When I first met her, she had short hair, and when
Yeah.
now she has longer hair now, and then she cut it again. It's just like it's an ever-changing process. But
Yeah.
we touched on all sorts of topics. We've done oil spills, there was a tree death epidemic that was caused by beetles in Hawaii.
Hmm.
And so we did fun
Interesting.
on that. And then, as you're seeing right now, we're doing a hurricane issue, and actually, it's a 2-part issue. One about the like how you know a hurricane's coming. Like there's
Hmm.
like that plane going into the hurricane. That's a legit thing. There's a thing
Yeah.
called hurricane hunters, and they take
Yep.
their special prepared planes into there, drop a whole bunch of sensors to try and predict. Will it be a fully formed hurricane? Where's it going to
Right.
land, et cetera, et cetera. And Tracy has a lot of friends who are part of the Hurricane Hunters, so we use them in the
Oh,
comic. That was
cool.
really fun. But and then for the next issue, we're talking about hurricane recovery. What happens after the hurricane hits? When the towns are destroyed?
Hmm.
How do you build that back up? And it was fascinating to me because, if not clear, Todd, I'm the idiot in this trio. I'm just writing the science. I don't pretend to understand it all, but I'm
Yeah.
talking with Tamara, who's heading up this issue, and she's telling me about all of her friends that have done hurricane recovery, including herself, and the things they've done to help get towns and cities back on their feet is nothing short of extraordinary and
Yeah.
far more in depth than you might think. Because you might feel, just looking at news footage, okay, they just need to rebuild the homes, restore the
Oh,
roads. It's
uh,
so much more
yeah.
complicated than that, and we touch on that in this issue. So,
Nice.
uh, yeah,
So
it's
it's
it's a lot of
grounded
fun.
very much in reality.
Yeah, we push things at
Hmm.
times. I like to say that some of our solutions are science adjacent because it's not sci-fi,
Okay.
but we do like say take a certain science and push it a few steps ahead. Like for example, in issue 1, we straight up clean up an oil spill in like a few hours. That's not how it works, but the technology is
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Technology is there. We just haven't reached that full stage. But we use actual real world science to like contain the oil
Hmm.
spill and everything. But then for the hurricane issue, everything we use is 100% real world. Um,
Okay.
We even just to give a small teaser for what's in the issue. Tamara's friend actually straight up built a aquatic vehicle out of spare parts and a jeep. Like
Huh.
he basically made a pontoon boat out of a jeep and parts from Home
That's
Depot.
that's fun. That's
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. Like I saw he took a video with Tamara and everything about it. I'm just like, this is insane. And yet he used that to ferry himself around a hurricane struck area that with like, high water levels, and
Right.
he rescued people in this jeep
Wow.
boat. So
That's cool.
and we show that in the issue, because like, why wouldn't you show that in the issue?
Yeah, no.
But
And I think people would say, "Oh, that's just comic book." No, no, no. You're
no,
like, this is real.
no. And there's technologies that in this issue that I never even considered or heard about,
Okay.
but that not only are they real, the one guy who made these very special drones for dropping supplies, he came up, apparently he's retired at 35, because like
Wow.
his idea was like that revolutionary and
Right.
inspirational that was just like he made millions. So see, science is fun and it can make you rich sometimes
Right.
sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah, the
Sometimes.
guy who made the jeep boat, not a millionaire yet.
Not yet.
Not yet,
Once that
but
catches on, forget
you
about
never
it.
know.
Okay.
Like I,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of people who would love that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, but
Especially in hurricane areas or,
yeah,
tsunami areas.
it's tsunami,
Definitely.
hurricane, or even just like flood areas. Because there's
Yeah.
where heavy rainstorms. I mean, you're from Seattle. You're used to
Yeah.
rain, so it's like a lot of
Yeah.
flooding.
There was in December. We actually had
Yeah.
several rivers crest and stuff, and we're getting a little bit more rain this week. But yeah, it's been a very light winter actually, so I'm okay with that. I'm ready
Yeah,
for spring.
and then for this issue that you're showing right now, that's issue number 4.
Hmm.
We talk about that's VR technology, and but
Oh,
we
okay.
make it we kind of make it more of like the Matrix and the holodeck. So that's why Tamara can like summon a flamethrower or whatever. And Tamara may or may not turn into a zombie later in the issue for scientific purposes, of course.
Okay.
So, but like, we have fun with the science while also showing just how real and wondrous it is,
Yeah.
and how it's helping so many people all over the world. And
And I think that's important. And like we've talked about before, like just having the indie, being in the indie space, we're able to tell these stories that would really not be told anywhere else,
no,
and you're taking something from the real world, kind of transcribing it into comic books and making it something
yeah,
fun and enjoyable. And that's important, especially for like the demographic, right? I mean, I know when I got into kids, I was more like a teenager. This would have been really fun for me because I love science. I love like just that science fiction, and I love all that stuff. So for me, this is something I would have picked up. You know what I mean? And I
you still
kept
can.
following. Well, no, I mean definitely. I'm gonna get actually there. There now I'll get notified. So
It counts.
it counts.
It
Um,
counts.
but yeah, I mean, it's just important to have like kind of a different avenue to tell a story, but also educate.
And
And you're doing. Yeah,
that
go ahead.
is in many ways the true driving force behind Secrets of Science, because
Hmm.
for me, while writing was always the thing I was interested in, I enjoyed science, but I never really understood it because the way they taught it in school at
Yeah.
times was just so boring. And or they would teach topics that I absolutely hated, like anything with bugs, like
Yeah.
oh, biology. But they taught this such rigid way of
Hmm.
doing things, and then I watched something like, say, Mythbusters, which Tamara and
Yeah.
Tracy were both a part of.
Oh, nice.
That's how I learned about them. They
Okay.
were on the sequel series, the
Okay.
reboot that happened. It didn't last, but they were still great.
Yeah.
But like Mythbusters broke it down for me. So I'm like, oh, that's what they mean by this. So like, I know, for example, that the terminal velocity of a human is 120 miles per hour.
Hmm.
Do I need to know that? Probably not.
No.
But the way they expressed it, and then I also know that if you fall flat while going through the air, you'll go one speed. If you curve
Hmm.
yourself to like cut through the air, you'll go faster.
Hmm.
And like that makes sense because that's a visual element that I
Right.
can process. And like explosions, do you think they're just fire and fury? But no, there's a pressure wave that can
Hmm.
affect things, and it's beautiful when you see it on the high speed shot.
Oh
And
yeah.
I learned so much from myth. I learned more about science from MythBusters in school, and I will die on that hill. And
Yeah, I learned a lot from Bill Nye, whether
Bill
people
Nye,
say he's science or not. I learned a lot of science from him,
yeah,
and
Bill Nye, Mr. Wizard, Beakman's World, like
yep,
they
Beekman.
were always there, and this is our extension of that.
Yeah,
Now, if I was to pitch this as a show, which we're trying to do,
yeah. Good
I would
luck.
actually tell. Thank you. I would actually tell people we're not trying to be the next MythBusters. We're trying to
Hmm.
be the next Reading Rainbow.
Yeah,
Because Reading
and
Rainbow wasn't about teaching people to read, it was about showing the joy of reading. And with
hmm
Seekers of Science, we're not trying to teach you science per se. We're showing
hmm
you the wonders of it so that you will want to learn more.
right.
Yeah.
It, it's all about that spark, right? It's
Yeah.
just about creating that spark, and I think as whatever we are, as writers, artists, I mean, creative people in general, painters, musicians, it's just creating that spark in someone, else, whether they're younger, older, and they pursue something. And who knows, like that spark could create, the next quantum leap in science. We have
Yeah.
no idea.
You have no idea.
So
Penicillin was made on accident.
yeah, yeah, a lot of things were made on accident.
X-rays, that was an
Yeah,
accident. Well, I mean, like the
yeah,
discovery of the X-ray machine was an accident.
yeah.
Um,
It's
he had a
fascinating.
chocolate bar in his pocket and it melted because of the x-rays. So it's just like, that's not right.
Uh,
um,
More testing needs to be happening so that I understand why my chocolate bar melted.
yeah. But like, and the beauty of Seekers of Science is that we can talk about so many different things because it's all connected to science.
Hmm.
One of the things that if we were to do a show that I would love to talk about is the science of roller coasters, because
Yeah.
there's so much that goes into their construction, because that's one kind of science, the physics to make sure the rides work, because that's another kind
Hmm.
of science. Even layouts of an amusement park is scientific because you're trying to make sure that the place is easy to get through, that there's plenty
Right.
of attractions. Like science by in and of itself is connected to everything, even if you don't realize it.
Right.
Like I would love to do an episode with, I kid you not, my mother, because she's a cook and cooking is science.
It very much is.
Yeah.
My wife has a book. She loves to
Nice.
cook. I mean, she has this book that is the science of cooking, and this guy, like, literally, I mean, every recipe he breaks down why you add the seasoning this far into cooking it, or the science behind a hard boiled egg and when's the optimal time. Like, it's really kind of nerdy, and I appreciate that because I like going into weeds on some things. But she loves this book. It's just such a fascinating book because it's not only like fun to read, but they're good recipes, so it's
Yeah.
good food.
Yeah, and that's
So yeah,
that's just the beautiful thing about it, is that science is everywhere. And
yeah,
I look forward to not just this campaign hopefully succeeding, but what we do next, because with each issue we're just expanding our reach to show that
right.
there's science in this, there's science in this, there's science in it. Again, you wouldn't think of there being science in hurricanes, but there's so
Oh
much
yeah,
in both predicting it, the preparing for landfall, which we touch on in season or in issue 7, and then of course the recovery. There's so many
right.
elements of science that go into rescuing people, keeping or getting supplies. We do one where we distill dirty water so we can drink it,
Oh yeah,
a device that Tamara herself made. So,
nice. That's
and has
cool.
been tested in hurricane areas. And they talked about the Jeep boat and all that. That's
Hmm.
science. So, like, there's so much that goes into it, and then there's so many stories still yet to tell, which is why we're
Yeah.
just trying to use Kickstarter to expand our fan base, show the wonders of science, and say, hey, this if you wanted something to help you connect with science more, here you go.
Yeah, there's a lot of science in hurricanes, tornadoes. I love
Mhm.
it or hate it. I kind of guilty pleasure is the first Twister movie. It's one of those.
I loved it.
I,
I loved
yeah,
it.
I can't lie. I mean, it's not a great Oscar winning movie, but for me, it was fun. I saw it when I was considerably younger, and it might have been
Uh-huh.
just the right movie at the right time with the right actors. And I mean, Bill Paxton, I love him, national treasure.
Helen Hunt.
But yeah, she's great in it, and it's there. You're right. There's science in every little aspect. Not just like people think of science, they think of like beakers and people in lab coats, but no,
Yeah.
there's science everywhere.
Yeah.
it's fascinating. And that's, to your point, like you could tell years and years and years of stories of
We'd love
the
to.
science behind stuff. So yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm curious. I think it's a really fun idea, and I mean, not like fun, haha. It's fun because it's like educational, like we
No,
mentioned, but
I know what you
also
mean.
in a good media to read a comic book about science and
Yeah.
you know teaching whoever, kids, adults.
But before I forget,
Yeah,
Todd,
Todd,
cow,
cow.
another
We
cow.
got cows.
No, no, I think it's the same one. I'll
Love
never
it.
forget the cow scene.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel bad for the cow.
We got cows. Yeah. That movie's just it's something else. And my mom loves that movie. She liked the second one too, and I haven't seen the second one, but
Neither have I.
yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. I'm a pretty big film person. I love film and music, and comics is just another thing, right? Another
Yeah,
expression of what we do.
it's a
So
beautiful thing. And
I,
then
I, I would recommend people get out there, support this book, please.
yeah, for those who are interested, we offer every single issue in this Kickstarter campaign. You can even get them in single issues or the volume versions that we will have. And then for other rewards, you can get drawn into the comic book should you
Nice.
desire. We also will have various amounts of merch. We're gonna have hats. We're gonna have stickers. We're gonna have shirts. We're even talking about jerseys at one point, but that kind of got nixed. Uh, like, what kind of jersey? Why do I have to make these decisions? I'm just a writer. I'm not a
Yeah.
fashionista. There's your next comic. Science of fashion. That
Science of
that would
fashion.
that would take a while because I mean that's tough to nail down. It's because trends, they grow.
Yeah.
Designers
Started
make it work.
start in the 70s. That might be fun.
Oh, don't give me
70s fashion.
yeah. Um, but we have merch. We have you actually can get thank you messages from the
Okay.
SOS team, so that was really cool. And then for classrooms, because we are trying to push this to like schools and libraries, you'll
Hmm.
actually get the chance to have a virtual Q&A session with Tamara or Tracy.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Never heard of something like that. Like a kind of a Zoom meeting or a
yeah,
call to,
yeah,
actually ask questions, a Q&A. That's unique. Definitely for a
yeah.
Kickstarter.
Yeah, it was something that Tamara has done before. She's offered
Hmm.
it at Comic Cons and it's done well. So via certain auctions, and
Yeah.
so we're just like, let's just bring that here. And then we have a super secret reward that will
Nice.
unlock once we hit our goal.
Yeah.
And let's just say, if you were to get this reward, you would have a very hands-on. How do I want to say this? You'll be instrumental in the creation of the next issue. Let's just put it that way. So
Very nice.
just saying, for those
Stand
who
by.
want, yeah, stand by, stand by.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun chatting with you about, I we just recently became friends. I think we kind of met through the was it
Group chat.
Phil? Yeah, group chat. And I was like, another Todd, huh?
Yes,
Interesting.
it's fate.
Yes, fate. So yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of fun meeting you, kind of chatting, catching up, hearing about your story and in the books that you write. Continued success. And I think we'll wrap this episode up here. And again, thanks for being on here. And I will see you all on the next episode.
Thank you.
All right.